Why are humans so bad at being alone? Not just because we get bored, not just because silence feels awkward, not just because phones have made us impatient. Humans struggle with being alone because, for most of our history, being alone was not just an emotional state, it was a survival problem. A human by themselves was weaker, colder, and less protected than a human inside a group. Other people were not just company, they were safety. A group could watch for danger, share food, protect children, remember water, and warn each other in the dark. For early humans, connection was not a luxury, it was part of staying alive. So when you are alone for too long, your brain may not simply say, "This is quiet." It may quietly ask, "Are we safe?" Nothing bad has to be happening. No predator has to be nearby. But the brain is old, and it responds to signals. One of the strongest signals in human life is the presence or absence of other people. This is why being alone can feel so different from choosing solitude. Solitude can feel peaceful when the mind knows it is safe, chosen, and temporary. Loneliness feels painful when the mind reads being alone as separation, exclusion, or abandonment. From the outside, both scenes may look the same, one person in a room, but inside, they are completely different. One version says, "I am resting," the other says, "I have been left." Humans are social animals, but that does not mean everyone wants to talk all the time. It does not mean introverts are broken. It means the human nervous system evolved around connection. Even independent people need evidence that they are not completely on their own. Even people who enjoy solitude can suffer when it turns into emotional isolation. Being alone removes social feedback. When other people are around, they constantly reflect you back to yourself. A smile says you are welcome. A reply says you were heard. A laugh says your timing landed. A concerned look says your pain is visible. A simple message says someone remembered you exist. These signals may seem ordinary, but the brain uses them to regulate emotion. Other people help us know where we stand. Without those signals, the mind starts filling in the silence. And the mind is not always kind when it has too much empty space. It may replay old conversations. It may wonder why someone has not replied. It may remember embarrassing moments from years ago. It may turn a quiet evening into a courtroom where you are both the judge and the defendant. The outside world becomes quiet, so the inside world gets louder. Many people think they hate being alone because there is nothing to do. But often the real problem is that there is too much to feel. When distractions disappear, unfinished emotions come closer. Grief has more space. Anxiety has more volume. Regret gets a microphone. The parts of yourself that are easy to outrun during the day finally catch up at night. You are not only alone with the room, you are alone with your own mind. That is why people reach for noise. A video in the background, music while cooking, a podcast while walking, a phone while eating, a screen before bed. These things can be useful, comforting, or fun, but sometimes they act like fake company. They give the brain the feeling that another voice is nearby. Someone is talking. Someone is posting. Someone might reply. Somewhere, people are active. The phone is powerful because it gives quick social signals without the risk of real contact. You can scroll without being seen. You can watch people without speaking. You can feel connected without asking anyone to connect with you. That makes it comforting, but also dangerous. Fake company can reduce loneliness without solving the need behind it. It can fill the room with noise while leaving the deeper question unanswered. Do I actually feel connected? Loneliness is not just the absence of people. It is the absence of felt connection. That is why someone can be surrounded by people and still feel lonely. A crowded room does not automatically create belonging. A busy workplace does not automatically create closeness. The brain is not only counting bodies, it is asking, do I matter here? Am I seen? Am I understood? Would anyone notice if I disappeared from this circle? This is why social media can make loneliness confusing. It shows people everywhere, but not always connection. You see faces, jokes, celebrations, relationships, trips, dinners, and achievements. It looks like proof that everyone belongs somewhere. But much of it is display, not closeness. Watching other people appear connected can make your own disconnection feel louder. The brain sees the tribe, but feels outside the circle. There is an old human pain inside that feeling. To be outside the group once meant real danger. Rejection was not just sad. It could threaten survival. If the group refused to share food, protection, information, or shelter, one person could be in serious trouble. So the brain learned to treat social separation as important. The hurt of being ignored or forgotten is not imaginary. It is the brain saying, "This matters. Pay attention." But modern life creates a strange mismatch. Many people live closer to strangers than ever, but feel less known than ever. Cities are full of bodies. Apartments are stacked with people. Yet emotional isolation can still grow, because the nervous system does not only need contact, it needs reliable connection. It needs people who know your patterns, notice your absence, understand your face, and remember you. This is also why being alone after being with people can feel especially painful. The contrast is sharp. One moment there is laughter, movement, voices, and shared attention. Then the door closes. The room becomes still, the group disappears. The silence feels bigger, because the brain just had social warmth and then lost it. Like stepping away from a campfire into cold night, the absence becomes noticeable. Sometimes humans are bad at being alone, because alone time feels like evidence. Evidence that no one chose us. Evidence that no one needs us. Evidence that we are behind, unwanted, forgotten, or strange. The feeling may not be true, but loneliness speaks in conclusions. No one cares. Everyone has someone except me. I am too much. I am not enough. The brain tries to explain pain, and when it has no clear answer, it may create a cruel one. This is where being alone becomes emotionally dangerous. Not because silence itself is bad, but because silence can become a mirror that exaggerates fear. If you already feel unwanted, being alone can seem to confirm it. If you already feel anxious, being alone can give anxiety an empty stage. If you already feel disconnected, being alone can make every unanswered message feel meaningful. The mind starts building stories from absence. But absence is not always rejection. A quiet phone is not always proof that nobody cares. An empty room is not always abandonment. A night alone is not always a sentence about your worth. The brain may treat these things as social danger, because it is trying to protect you. But protection is not always accuracy. Sometimes the alarm is real, but the interpretation is wrong. That is why learning to be alone is not just about becoming tougher. It is about helping the brain understand the difference between chosen solitude and unsafe isolation. Chosen solitude has a boundary. It says, "I am alone right now, but I still belong." Unsafe loneliness says, "I am alone because I have no place." The first can restore you. The second can drain you. A healthy person does not need people every second, but a healthy person does need some sense of connection that remains, even when people are not physically present. This is like an inner social safety signal. You can sit in your room and still feel connected to friends, family, community, memory, purpose, or yourself. The body feels alone, but not abandoned. That is the difference. This is why routines can help. A meal cooked slowly, a walk without headphones, a journal, a candle, a clean room, a planned call later, a message sent honestly, a hobby that absorbs attention. These things tell the brain that alone time has structure. It is not exile. It is space. Structure turns empty time into chosen time, and chosen time feels safer than open-ended silence. But there is another reason humans struggle with being alone. Other people distract us from the question of who we are when nobody is watching. Around people, we often have roles: friend, worker, sibling, parent, student, partner, helper, funny one, reliable one, quiet one. Alone, those roles fade. Then a deeper question appears. Without an audience, without reaction, without approval, what remains? That question can be uncomfortable. Many people do not fear being alone with the room. They fear being alone with themselves. They fear discovering boredom, sadness, anger, emptiness, desire, or confusion under the noise. They fear that if no one is there to validate them, they may not know how to validate themselves. They fear that if no one gives them a shape, they may feel shapeless. This is why solitude can become a skill, not because humans should stop needing others, but because we also need the ability to stay with ourselves without panic. Being alone well means becoming a calm witness to your own mind. It means noticing thoughts without obeying every one. It means feeling emotion without immediately escaping into noise. It means learning that your own presence can be safe. That does not replace connection. Humans still need each other. The goal is not to become a stone untouched by loneliness. Loneliness is a signal, and sometimes it is telling the truth. Sometimes you really do need to reach out. Sometimes you really do need deeper friendships, honest conversations, community, touch, laughter, and shared life. The answer to loneliness is not always silence. Sometimes the answer is people. But if every moment alone feels unbearable, the brain may need to relearn safety in small doses. One quiet meal, one short walk, 10 minutes without the phone. One evening, planned with care instead of survived with scrolling. Little by little, the brain learns, alone does not mean abandoned. Quiet does not mean danger. My thoughts are loud, but they are not always threats. So why are humans so bad at being alone? Because we were not built as isolated machines. We were built as nervous systems inside groups. Other people helped us survive, regulate, learn, heal, and know ourselves. Their absence can feel like danger because, for a long time, it often was. The pain of loneliness is not weakness. It is an ancient alarm from a social species. But being alone can also become something else. It can become rest. It can become clarity. It can become creativity. It can become a place where the noise of others fades enough for your own voice to appear. The same silence that first feels empty can become spacious when the brain feels safe. Humans are bad at being alone because we need connection, but we can get better at being alone when we understand that solitude is not the opposite of belonging. Sometimes solitude is where belonging has to continue inside you. The goal is not to never need people. The goal is to carry enough safety inside yourself that, when the room gets quiet, your brain does not think the tribe has disappeared. Because being alone is not the real problem. Feeling unsafe, unseen, and disconnected is the problem. And when you learn to sit with yourself without turning away, you are not rejecting your social nature. You are building a small inner campfire, a place inside you that says, I am here. I am safe enough. I still belong.